Thank you. So welcome everyone. It's so nice to see all of you and thank you for your interest in our training program. My name is Sophie. I work at IGHI as Operations Officer. Tonight, so the aim of this webinar is to give you some more information on our training program and also on the specific roles on offer. We also have two of our current trainees with us. And they will talk a little bit about their experience. If you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A. So at the bottom, you'll see Q&A. So if you have any questions, please ask them there and we will answer them during the webinar. So yeah, I think we can get started and I'll hand over to Clarissa.
Thank you, Sophie, and hello everyone. Thank you for joining us. So what we thought we'd kick off with is just an overview of the training program. So we're going to talk about a bit why we launched the program in the first place. We're going to talk about the training program overall and the eligibility criteria, and we'll give you some tips on how to apply for the program as well. So there are many reasons I thought this training program would be a good thing to do. The key motivating factors were that we recognise that quite a few entry-level jobs welcome people only who have quite a lot of experience already. So very few of them welcome people who have no or limited work experience. And some other schemes have emerged to address this, like internships and graduate schemes, but they can come with their drawbacks. So some internships can, for example, be unpaid, or for graduate schemes, they often require minimum 2-1 degree. So quite a few people are missing out on these kind of opportunities to get their foot in the door. Other factors as well can make finding your first job challenging. So, for example, writing a CV when you don't have much experience. Different schemes can have multiple recruitment stages. Especially now, flexible working is becoming a thing that people want. It's also about finding your first job that gives you meaningful experience as well. And along those lines, we also recognise that in some industries, people from certain groups are underrepresented in specific roles due to things like unconscious bias in the recruitment and shortlisting process, work experience opportunities being handed out to the same kinds of people. And it's also can be like a general lack of awareness of like who certain roles are for and who can excel in those sorts of positions. So there was a lot of work as well going on at Imperial to identify and improve the experience of staff and students who are often underrepresented in academia. Those include people from Black, Asian, ethnic minority backgrounds who are LGBTQ+, as well as those who live with a physical and or mental disability. So at the Institute of Global Health Innovation, we wanted to kind of tackle this issue, and we felt that we could offer a new solution to address this because of many reasons. One of them being that we are a multidisciplinary team of people who range in different professional backgrounds as well as diverse lived experiences. We have many projects that could be supported by someone who could bring a fresh perspective on the problems we're trying to tackle, their time as well, and any existing knowledge, skills and experience that they may have. And part of this was also about us working together and with colleagues from other departments to design a standardised recruitment process and on-the-job training for people at the early stages of their career. So about the Julia Anderson training program. So this is a paid work experience scheme for people who specifically have no or limited prior work experience at a university or organisation related to health, science, technology or business management. So the kind of things that we work in quite regularly. And what makes the training program so special is that trainees will support a specific program of work at IGHI whilst developing their own personal and professional skills, growing a professional work network, and gaining hands-on experience that can enhance their CV and future employability prospects. So training positions at the moment are advertised twice a year. We have an autumn and spring intake, and they last between 8 to 12 weeks, depending on the project. And at the moment, it's working well where trainees are full-time and we have a hybrid working model where they come in 2 to 3 times a week. But of course, as part of this process, flexible arrangements are considered. So what we think makes the program so special is that we try to offer as much support and really make the most of the experience for the trainees. So during the application process, no CV is required. It's just one online application form that you complete. On the application form, and to reduce any kind of unconscious bias, your name and your place of study is kept hidden until the shortlisting is complete. In the application form, there's a lot more focus on what we call soft skills. So, do you get on with others? Do you have good communication skills? But also there's a lot of focus on what you want to develop, because that's what makes this training position so special, is that we purposely look for people who have limited experience. We try and support them in their kind of future career prospects. And we also consider reasonable adjustments for interview. So for example, if you want more time, that's something that we can support you with. During the training process, you get paid a good wage for your work. You get a fixed term contract, which means you are an Imperial staff member, so you're open to lots of the benefits that we also have as staff members. We try to make sure that the traineeship is a meaningful hands-on work experience, so you're actually actively involved in projects, and the trainees can speak more to their experience of doing that. We also provide a bespoke induction and onboarding process for trainees to make sure they get the support they need right from the start. You also get access to mentoring, so you get to choose someone at IGHI to be your mentor throughout your training experience. You get access to the kind of training and internal vacancies at Imperial that are offered to staff. And at the end of the process, you get a certificate thanking you for all your hard work, and just a nice celebration at the end of your training experience. So we launched the programme for the first time in September just last year, and we welcomed our first cohort of trainees, and they've been supporting projects in digital health, data management and communications, and marketing, planning and impact. And since then, we've kind of looked to try and improve as we learn what works and what doesn't quite work. And we've made some key changes since then already. So we've removed the minimum requirement to be studying an undergraduate degree. And we'll talk a bit more about this later on. And we've clarified our eligibility criteria on our website to hopefully help people understand who we're really trying to support and who we aren't trying to reach. And so that goes on nicely to what we've updated as the eligibility criteria for this project, for this programme. So this is also on the website, so you can read more about this there. But the key things to highlight is that you must have the right to work in the UK, because we're unable to offer, for example, visa sponsorship for short-term placements at this level. We are specifically looking for people who have no or limited work experience. We also are trying to just reiterate that if you've done a paid internship or training program before that lasted more than 2 months, this isn't aimed at you. So in general, we're trying to, again, broaden the range of people who might benefit from this opportunity specifically. So those who've left school, any undergraduate students or graduate students educated up to master's degree level or equivalent, any job seekers or those in receipt of universal credit, or anyone looking for a career change who meets the second criterion. But likewise, we understand that everyone's circumstances are different. So if you don't meet all of the criteria but feel you have a justifiable reason to be considered, then you can state why on the application form, and we'll take that into consideration. So here's an overview of the whole application process for this cohort. So applications opened about a week or two ago, and we're hosting the webinar today. All of the training position applications close on the 24th of April. And then we have a week to shortlist those applications. And we're aiming to get back to everyone by Friday, the 1st of May. For those who have been invited to interview, we'll then host a different webinar with the head of recruitment from the Human Resources team, who will give an overview of some tips on how to succeed in interviews, so you really feel supported before you actually have your round of interviews. There's just one interview with the team commencing week beginning 30th of May, and then we'll aim to get back to everyone in by the 17th of June. And those who've been successful will then go through reference and qualification checks to make sure that you're all good to go. Hopefully join us on the 18th of July. And like I said, there's some flexibility around that if that day doesn't quite work for you, but that's the process for the whole training application. So just to round off with some tips on how to apply for the training program. So we strongly recommend that you review the job description and the person specification criteria for each training post. So that means that we're expecting an application that looks like you have read those documents and you're taking that into consideration when you're writing your responses in the application form. Think through all of your experience to date. So that can include any experiences you've had at school or at college or at university, or if you've done volunteering or any other work experience outside of, health, technology, science, that sort of thing that you think is transferable to this training position. And what we advise is that you take each person specification criteria and give an example and evidence about how you meet that criteria using the STAR model. So situation, task, action, result. And that's a really great way of making sure that you demonstrate why you meet the requirements of the training position. We also on our website have an application form template that you can complete just to help you prepare and give you an idea of how much to write. But when it comes to actually applying on the Imperial Jobs pages, please leave plenty of time to submit your application. Things go wrong and, you don't want to be scrambling at the last hour trying to get your application in. So we just advise you leave plenty of time as possible to get your application to us. So now we have 3 more roles that are being advertised, and you'll hear from the people advertising those training positions shortly. And just a reminder that the deadline to apply is the Sunday, 24th of April, and you have up until the end of that day to get your applications in. So all the information that you need is on the website. We also have a frequently asked questions section as well, which will be good to review. But I'll now hand over to Nikki, who is advertising for a digital health trainee in cybersecurity. Again, if you have any other questions, please do pop them in the Q&A and we'll get back to them at the end of the session today. So thank you, and over to you, Nikki.
Thank you, Clarissa. And hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to see so many people here. Let me just pull up my slides. All right, so hello again. My name is Nikki O'Brien, and I'm a policy fellow in global health here at the Institute of Global Health Innovation. And as part of my job, I work across the digital health team and the patient safety team within our organization. And as part of the digital health team, I do quite a bit of work on cybersecurity, which is the area where we would hope our Julia Anderson trainee would work with us. So just a quick overview on what the cybersecurity program at IGHI involves. It's sort of based on the fundamental challenge of cybersecurity attacks on healthcare, which are increasing globally. And I've highlighted here on the slide that the first patient death attributable to a cyber attack was recorded in September 2020. It's how important cybersecurity is to healthcare, even if it doesn't necessarily seem completely related. But health systems and providers, so hospitals, clinics, etc., around the world have a lot of challenges in building their cyber resilience. And therefore, it's critical to develop tools that can be used by those providers and the providers could be anywhere in any setting around the world. So it's important to think about capacity, financing, and other contextual factors. So in the year 2020, our team developed the Essentials of Cybersecurity for Healthcare Organizations, the ECHO framework, which is just a bit of guidance, I suppose, for healthcare organizations based around 6 key areas. And one of them you see up on the screen is called context. And this resource that's now in its beta testing phase just helps healthcare organizations start to think about these issues and how they can improve their security in order to keep their patients safe. So as part of this program, we work with the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office on projects to understand the challenges of developing cybersecurity, particularly in low and middle income countries, where resources can often be more scarce, which makes it sort of more of a challenge even than it is in high income countries where it already is quite a big challenge. So part of that project, we undertake quite a bit of research to be able to develop tools and educational resources. And that's where the Julia Anderson trainee would come in. So I start my slide here with, are you interested in global health and or digital health? I think from what Clarissa was saying, we don't have a lot of sort of preconceptions about who this person is, their background, what they've done up until now. If you're open-minded and you're interested in these areas and you'd like to learn more, please, I would encourage you to apply for this role because I think you would find it interesting. The idea of the Julia Anderson Trainee in Cybersecurity is to support our digital health team in conducting health systems research, exploring existing practices and challenges surrounding cybersecurity in healthcare organizations in low and middle income countries. So it sounds a broad topic, but that's actually good because it means depending on the interests of our trainee, we can tailor precisely what they'll do over the course of the 12 weeks. So the fundamental things that the trainee would get out of this is to develop their research skills. So that can include the development of research plans, topic and interview guides, which are related to doing qualitative interviews, a methodology that again we would go over and you would learn it through the course of the 12 weeks. Approval application, and you would contribute to interview analyses and draft sections of an academic paper, always supported with our wider team to help you do that. And then you would develop more general skills. So you would be expected to organize online meetings, take notes, support the development of educational tools. So that could be working with consultants and other designers to help with that. Also assisting in the drafting of sections of reports and blogs. And through that process, you just get to learn a lot more, I suppose, about global health, digital health, and cybersecurity, and how it all comes together. So that's just a very quick overview. If there's any particular questions, please drop them in the chat as mentioned, and I will stop there and pass over to Lindsay, who will present on her opportunity. Thanks.
Thanks, Nikki. Bear with me 1 second. Can everyone see that okay? Yeah, fantastic. So thank you so much for coming today. It's great to see so many people here. So I'm Lindsay Dewar. I'm an advanced research fellow based at IGHI, specifically focusing on mental health. And I'm kind of across two as well. So I'm across the Patient Safety Translational Research Centre, which is a bit of a mouthful, and also the School of Public Health as well. And so I guess for the last few years, I've been focusing specifically on young people's mental health and looking at different ways to detect mental health deterioration in those groups. And also, I try always to use a co-produced approach, which essentially means working together in partnership with young people with lived experience from the start of the project through to the end of the project. So just to give you a bit of context as to where you'll come in and what sort of projects we'll be working on. So it'll be specifically on a project that looked at the impact of COVID-19 on young people's mental health called COPE. We knew that youth mental health was going to be potentially a problem and a priority during the pandemic early on, but we didn't know sort of what priorities young people actually wanted us to look into in this. So just as a really, really brief overview, we did a real priority setting exercise with young people to decide which sort of areas we wanted to cover. And they wanted to look at the impact specifically on well-being and mental health and how people were coping during the lockdowns, specific milestones, and across the pandemic in general. And also to use a co-produced mixed methods approach, which essentially would mean talking to people as well as having surveys as well to kind of get a greater scope of sort of the problem and how people are coping more nationally. And you can see from this diagram, it's a bit of a, if you can even see it really, but it's essentially split into different COPE studies. So we started off by looking at sort of the first lockdown, how people were experiencing a lockdown specifically and the changes to distancing and things like that on their mental health and well-being. And then we wanted to look at that over a period of time. So we looked over the 6 months after the first lockdown and then at each key milestone. And we kind of bolstered those surveys with interviews. So virtual online interviews using Microsoft Teams to actually explore a bit more in depth about what was going on in relation to coping strategies in particular and mental health and well-being. And at the moment, there's potential for more. Of course, there's more that's happened. And there's also lots of related work to this, which I can discuss in more detail if anyone's interested. But I just want to give a bit of an overview, just aware of time, on how this then would relate to the role as a trainee. So obviously it will be specifically on the COPE study and it'll be extending this work. So it'll be specifically around the analysis that came from the qualitative work primarily. So you'll learn how to do a co-produced analytical approach to the data, so the textual data that we get from transcripts from interviews. You'll support the day-to-day running of the COPE study in general. It'll also include a literature review because since COPE 3 was done, a lot more research has looked at this area and we need to have a bit of an update on the literature and what other studies have done. So that will be a good piece of work to do. With me, and I'll train you in qualitative methods and how to do qualitative analysis, and you'll support that analysis of the results. And also related work to young people's mental health in general and doing other studies as well. So there'll be scope depending on what your preference will be. You can do other things as well related to my other projects. And also contribute to the preparing and presenting of findings. So that might be creative methods such as videos or other things that I might not have thought of. And you've got ideas in that way of how to share results back out to the public. And also slides for presentations and also an academic journal, which I'll support you again in how to write for an academic journal and how to blog and things like that. So all really fun things. Yeah, that's about it for that one. And what am I looking for? I think potentially someone a bit different in a nutshell. I think there's a real potential here for someone with really limited experience, but has a real interest in mental health. So that could be an interest in mental health in general, or your own mental health and you've got lived experience, or you've had experience working in this space, such as a volunteer for a mental health charity, for example. I think another thing that's really important to me for the trainee for this role is about having interpersonal skills. So a real demonstration of having empathy and active listening skills would be fantastic to demonstrate in the application form. Potentially an example of how you've done that as well would be great. In terms of the analysis, so obviously qualitative is the focus of the study. So if you've had any experiences of talking to other people in an interview yourself, maybe as a participant or anything like that, where you've had an experience of talking to others. I think that would be great to put down. And finally, the co-production. So obviously that's very important to me, and I think to IJHI in general. And it's really embedded in what we do. So I'm really interested in working with people that also have a similar mindset and are happy to and want to work with people with lived experience of mental health difficulties on the research project. And just finally, I think the general benefits of the trainee would really just develop their knowledge in general about co-production and the principles that go with that, about sharing power and decision making, and how to actually do the analytical techniques that might be a little bit different from qualitative in general. Showing a real awareness of the impact and challenges in doing co-production mental health research, because as it isn't without its challenges, but also to gain experience working in a multidisciplinary team of researchers and clinical staff and patient and public partners. I work with a lot of different organisations in the mental health space, and also different departments in Imperial, so that would be great as well. You gain that experience, and also just about really having the thought that the project can actually influence policy and practice. So that's why I love working here. We actually try and make a change, and not just research for the sake of it. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has afterwards.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. And thank you everyone who's popping the questions in the Q&A as well. We're doing our best to reply to all of them. There's a couple of them that we will talk about at the end of the webinar. So Sohyun, who's a project lead for the breast cancer trainee, unfortunately can't join tonight, but she has recorded a video for you, and I will share that with you now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sohyun, and I'm a design researcher at IJHI. I'm really sorry that I couldn't make it this evening, but I'm recording this video to talk a little bit more about our upcoming project called Co-Designing a Diary Intervention in Breast Cancer Screening with South Asian Communities. Just a little bit of background of this NIHR funded project is that this project is part of the NHS England and Improvement Breast Screening Recovery Program in London. And one of the work streams this project falls under is reducing health inequalities and increasing screening uptake. The aim of this program is to work collaboratively across cancer alliances and breast screening services to develop and implement new and innovative ways to recover from the service backlog due to the pandemic. We'll be working for and with South Asian communities in Hanwell, Hammersmith and Fulham, Hounslow and West London CCGs. So for more than a decade, breast screening coverage in West London has remained significantly lower than other London regions, and it still remains the second worst screening uptake in London. And breast cancer screening invitation is generally lower in ethnic minority groups, but Bangladeshi and Pakistani women have the lowest breast cancer screening uptake. To give a background for the project specifically, it is very well known that only 20% of health outcomes actually result from clinical interventions, with the remaining 80% driven by wider determinants of health, such as lifestyle, social, and environmental factors. So we're going to be focusing on creating an intervention that lies within that 80%. From our current research, we found out that in South Asian communities, health information flows from friends and families, and in community spaces like worship places, that is from informal to semi-formal help-seeking behaviors. We want to co-design an intervention that addresses how this information flows within and across communities, and how we can actually harness the strength of tight-knit communities to create this intervention that addresses cultural and social needs of South Asian groups. Right now, we're thinking about creating a tool which might be in a form of diary that participants can use to document specific aspects of breast screening and breast cancer awareness over a period of time, and that which would collect qualitative data and change an individual's behaviors, activities, and experiences over time. To talk about our team, the team that you're going to be working with, and the collaborators. The main team is our team, which is the breast cancer team, consists of me and Dr. Hutan Ashrafian and Sean Danieli. So Hutan is an honorary senior research fellow at IJHI. He's a surgeon, and he's also very passionate about innovation in healthcare and also AI in healthcare. And Sean is a director of population health and equality at King's Health Partners and NHS South East London. They're both very passionate and kind individuals. So I can guarantee that you would love meeting and working with them. And I will be the main person that you'll be working close. Yeah, I'm gonna be the one that you're gonna be working with very closely. And our biggest stakeholders would be the RM Partners Cancer Alliance, which is the Royal Marsden Cancer Alliance in Northwest London and Southwest London, and also West of London Breast Screening Services. They're the major stakeholders where we have to kind of report our progress to, and then they can help us out with anything related to the project as well. And the last group, our last team, that is the most important, is the South Asian community groups and the 4 CCGs that I mentioned before. We're going to be working very closely with them, so they will be, they are one of the major collaborators for this project. I'm going to be talking about your role, design research trainee. All these details are actually on the job description, but I thought to kind of go over them very quickly. So your role actually divides into 4: research management, equity-based community involvement, design, and stakeholder management. For the first 3 months of the project, the most crucial part is actually the equity-based community involvement. A large chunk of our time will be spent on researching, networking, building relationships and trust with community groups, and recruiting participants from the CCGs. And also, every research project, the first thing that we have to do is think about the ethical implications of our project. So we would have to get our ethics approved, and that would require some time to formulate and draft an application. So you'll be supporting me with this and updating any timelines and scheduling, basically like research management part. Another major role will be supporting me in crafting a design plan. So what kind of questions to ask? What are our goals? You're going to help me with the creativity part of the project as we progress into the co-design side. So that involves creating co-design workshops and any important research plans that we need throughout the project. But because this internship is for 12 weeks, we may not get the full experience, the the full force of this design side of the project within those 12 weeks. But you will definitely experience some of it for sure. And I'm very happy to teach you anything related to co-design, co-creation, participatory research and design throughout our time together. Tips for applying. What we're looking for in our trainee is mostly the human skills. So I wrote down some of the skills that I'm looking for, and I really don't like to call these soft skills because they're actually not soft. They're very difficult and hard skills to have. So I would really suggest that in your application that you lean into these human skills that required you to be a decent, kind human being. And out of all these things, if you have to choose one, I would definitely focus on empathy. So showing how you have learned about empathy and share any examples of how you showed empathy to a group of people in your life. How do you communicate with those who are different from you? And another question is that we want you to explore your, in your application, is why you think addressing health inequalities should be a priority. And any further understanding of equity will also be great. But please don't feel pressured about giving an extensive answer. It really doesn't have to be long. It doesn't really have to be an essay either. You can just share a little bit and then we can talk more about it during the interview. You can get creative with the way that you give us an example. There's no right or wrong answer, and we just want to see how you think more than anything else. Yeah, I'm also looking for someone very organized and someone who have attention to details. So if you want to emphasize that, that would be amazing. Other than that, we just want someone kind, selfless, and driven. And if there's anything else that you're curious about, please feel free to contact me. I can answer any questions within my capacity, and you can always contact the trainee coordinator if you have any more questions. And thank you. I hope a lot of people apply for this role. I'm very much looking forward to working with you very soon. Thank you very much.
Yes, so those were the three roles that we have. Thank you so much, also Lindsay and Nikki. And I hope that everyone found it very useful. So we're very happy that tonight we're joined by two of our current trainees. So they were the first cohort, and they will be sharing a bit about their experience. So Paula, would you like to start?
Thanks, Sophie. I'll just share my screen 2 seconds. Can you see that okay? Fab. So, hi everyone. I'm Paula, and I am the digital health trainee. So I just thought I'd start on a wee bit of why I applied for the role. So I finished my undergraduate degree in summer, and I started job hunting. But I really struggled to find jobs or get into the jobs I was interested in, just because I had little experience. I came across the trainee programme on my university's careers page, and I thought it was a really good experience and a chance to work in something that I was interested in, which was research. And it also provided an opportunity to work in London. So a bit about the application progress. I thought it was a good opportunity to express what I'm looking for and what skills I would like to develop. So I thought it was quite a refreshing process because this isn't something that I'd seen in the countless job applications that I was doing at the time. I was then shortlisted for interviews and attended the interview webinar where I kind of learned some interview skills and stuff that I could take on to interviews in the future. During my interview, we had to do a presentation, which I thought was a really good way to kind of showcase yourself away from the traditional interview questions. I was then offered the job, and I actually moved to London for this post. So a bit about what I've been working on while I'm here. My main role here is evaluating the impressions of healthcare professionals and service users and the usability of digital health self-management plans. So things I've been doing is like conducting usability testing, conducting interviews and writing up interview questions, data analysis, particularly qualitative, and that's something that I don't really get to do a lot of at uni. It was more the numbers side. Been creating manuscripts, identifying potential journals that I could publish some of the manuscripts in, working in multidisciplinary teams, and I've done a lot of presenting while I'm here. But there's also like other opportunities that have been given to me like as part of the role. So I've definitely networked with a lot of people, and everyone here is so welcoming, and it's given me a chance to hear about what they work on, and kind of different careers prospects. The mentoring scheme, you get given a mentor, and they can kind of help you with any questions that you have during the training program, and also kind of guide you through your kind of next steps after it, career opportunities, and also kind of a chance for like CV reading. Also being featured on things like blog posts, and you kind of get access to a lot of training things as well. So LinkedIn Learning, or like kind of Microsoft One training. So in terms of kind of what I've gained from being here, I definitely have a kind of deeper understanding about digital health and why digital health tools are needed. I've developed interview techniques and how to write up interview questions, deeper knowledge on kind of data analysis, presenting skills, deeper kind of team working skills, and report writing skills. But I've also felt like a really valuable member of the team here. I haven't felt like, like a trainee or an intern, because I do have like a level of responsibility here to kind of get the work done, knowledge on what it's like to work in academia. And I've definitely grown a lot of confidence and be given the chance to work on a lot of different research projects. So why you should apply, definitely apply if you're struggling to get onto your career path because you have a lack of experience, or even if you're unsure what to do, because I felt like being here, I've learned like a lot of different career options that are out there. If you want to use and improve and keep practicing some of the skills you've learned at university, or you're kind of gaining at university. I felt like when I left, I had all these skills, but I had nowhere to put them. But also if you're wanting to learn new skills, and if you're wanting to network and learn about different career options. So my kind of advice on applying, make use of kind of all the tools you have when you're writing up your application. So things on the IGHI website, or using like your uni's career service. Treat the application process as experience. Don't get too caught up on getting the job, because applying and maybe getting the interview is definitely really good experience for when you go to apply for things in the future. Definitely attend the interview webinar if you kind of get this far, and if you get the job, definitely be open to all the opportunities that are thrown at you, and be ready to work, because what you put in is what you get out. So thanks for listening, and I'll pass on to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Paula. And I'm going to share my screen now. So, hi, my name is Yubing, and I'm the Education Trainee from Julia Anderson Training Program, and I want to share my experience with you today. So to begin with, why I applied for this program. So I went straightly from my undergraduate to postgraduate study, which means I have limited work experience before. And I came across this Julia Anderson Training Program when I finished my master degrees. And I think that was a perfect program for me, as they are targeted as who have limited work experience before. And I also want to develop some transferable skills that can contribute to my future career path. And as a person who are passionate about healthcare, I really want to expand my professional network with brilliant people at IGHI. And there's no bias in the application process, which I really appreciate that. So they can't see your name or university from the application form at the very beginning. So everyone has equal opportunity for these posts. So move to my application process. I submitted the application from last November, and after 4 to 5 weeks, I was shortlisted for the interview. And 1 week before the interview, they provide a webinar for the interview where you can learn a lot of tips for your interview. And they also provide some example questions for you to prepare. And I think you will also have one like this. And so I attended the interview on Monday and received the offer call on Friday. So I think the people at IGHI was really responsive. So if you came across any issues during your application process, just contact them directly. And I'm sure they're happy to help you with anything you need. And so I'm going to share a little bit about how to write your answers for the application form. So I would recommend you to read the job description again and again and try to think about how to link your past experience to the responsibility of this job post, and think about your motivation for this post, and don't talk to general things and try to be as specific as you can. And do some research about this institute. And I would say this would be very helpful for you to answer the questions in the application form. And also the research results will help you to prepare your interview. And talk about the skills you have by telling them the stories. Use the START rules to draft your answers, which will make it very clear to follow. So think about what you are looking to develop throughout the process. Although you don't have to be too professional before you join this program, you have to show them your potentials. And discuss with other people before you submit your application form. I think it will be very helpful. So I'm going to talk about my experience at IGHI. So I'm the education trainee here. So my main responsibility is to raise the profile of our education offerings. I need to outreach to alumni to capture their stories. And I also help the education and communications team to create the prospectus. And I also support them to write some blog posts and social media posts. So what I like about working at IGHI, so everyone here is very supportive, and you can feel like you're really a member of the IGHI family, and you will have weekly catch up with your line manager, and they will help you to guide your work. And after you join this program, you will be assigned with a mentor, and I think they will help you to discuss your future career path. And I think working at IGHI provides you a very unique experience to get involved in different interesting healthcare projects, which I think is really valuable. And thank you for listening, and good luck for your applications.
Thank you so much, Yubing. That was really interesting, and you, Paula, as well. We have gotten a few questions on this recording. So this recording will be shared with you. So it will be available, I think, tomorrow, probably, on our website. Also, we have an email address, which is, I can type it in the chat as well. It's ighi.training@imperial.ac.uk. So a whole mouthful. So do feel free to send an email there if you have any questions, or you're not sure, or anything, basically. Do feel free to email there, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible as well. I don't know if there were questions in the Q&A that still need answering, or if we have answered them all.
We could do a run through of the main questions that came up, but quite a few of them could be answered by looking on the website. So do check out the eligibility criteria, the how to apply section, and the FAQs, because a lot of questions about how long the training post will be, you know, what's limited work experience are answered there as well. So do check it out. But we can do a quick run through if there are any kind of common ones that came through.
Regarding the vaccine, we just got a question. I'll answer this now. Do we need to have the full vaccine? So it is imperial policy to be fully vaccinated. It is recommended. Also, because we're asking the trainees to come in the office 3 days a week. And our office is based in St. Mary's, which is a hospital in Paddington. So therefore, we strongly recommend it to be vaccinated. You're very welcome. Travel expenses, we can talk like reasonable. Do you mean for the position or do you mean for the interview? Because if you want to have your travel expenses reimbursed for the interview, it might be an online interview. If you want them to be reimbursed during your traineeship, we don't offer any travel expenses. I think I have one more question. What kind of experience would you be looking for to highlight the personal attributes you've mentioned? I think that differs from job to job, basically. But I think what we're looking for is just, you know, someone who's very keen and who wants to make the three trainees that we have. What we liked so much about them is we gave them this opportunity and they really made it their own. Like, they have worked so hard. They've taken every, you know, opportunity there was. You know, they joined these webinars tonight. We asked them if they wanted to join and they join. You know, they're always willing to help out. I think like that just shows their character. I think, you know, we don't judge people on their personality or whatever. But I think one of the main attributes that you can show is just, you know, that you're willing and that you're wanting to take this traineeship on board. I don't know, Clarissa, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, definitely. I think the key thing is to look at the person specification criteria for the role that you want to apply for. That tells you exactly what everyone who is shortlisting the applications is looking for. So it's really important to demonstrate evidence behind each criteria that you say that you're meeting. And the STAR model is a great tool for doing that. It's also really important to show that you have room to grow and that you meet the criteria of the program. So, for example, we're not looking for people who have lots of clinical experience. We're not looking for people who have lots of, who've managed practices or that sort of thing. So we had some of those applications last year and they didn't get through because this program is specifically for people who don't have much work experience and are looking to build themselves. So definitely lean into that, because I think it's one of the few opportunities where we're actually, you can get very far by just showing that you have room to grow. So yeah, I think those are the key things to think about. I hope that's helpful. And lots of questions we've had about tier 4 visas. So again, please look into this, but on the eligibility criteria, we stated on the website that international students on a tier 4 visa are able to work up to 20 hours a week. So please bear that in mind if you're applying and that's your circumstance. Otherwise, it's expected that you can provide proof that you are eligible to work in the UK. Yeah.
Also, we got a couple of questions asking from people if they can apply to more than one role, which the answer is yes, you can apply to all roles if you want. So yeah, feel free to apply for any of the roles that you like or all the roles. Definitely. So How competitive is this opportunity? I think it's quite competitive. It's, you know, there's lots of interest in this program, which is very nice. It is competitive, so you know, just do your best. I don't think you can only do your best. I don't think you should compare with like, oh, perhaps hundreds of people are applying or perhaps 2 people are applying. I think just do your best, just focus on your own application. Don't think about other people that can apply. Just focus on your own application. I think that's like the best advice that we can give.
Yeah, and we can also provide feedback as well if you request feedback. Once the application and interview process is over, then we can provide feedback on your application form, or if you were at interview, we can provide feedback on your interview. It's something that we also offer to the trainees as well if they want feedback on how they did in the application and interview process, and that's something that we offer. And you just need to ask in that sense.
Definitely. And I think it's also important that we point out again that, you know, this opportunity is also open for school leavers. So you don't have to have, you know, a PhD or a master. I don't know what, you know, even if you're a school leaver, please, you know, apply for the program. It is there definitely to support anyone with their career. As long as you're keen and you're interested, then it doesn't matter which qualifications you have. Please, you know, apply. So I think we can get to a closure here. I think we've answered most of the questions. If you have any more, please do check our website, because we have a FAQ. We have a lot of the eligibility criteria listed as well. And then we've popped the email address in the chat as well. So you can send us an email, and this recording will be made available tomorrow, or I think we're Tuesday. I don't even know which day we are today. Tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining. It's great to see how much interest there is, and we look forward to meet you. Thank you.